Some days I think I want a man, and then I remembered that I have to physically talk to them and like be around them, and then I decided that nah, I'm good. Sounds terrible for me.
She's fine.
Yeah, she is. Hell yeah. She hasn't had an orgasm in a really long time. So like I bet that shit was great.
Bet she was real fine.
That there is
Everybody did.
nothing better than literally sitting there laying naked in a towel on a bed, and it's
Mm-hmm.
glorious. So she closes her
I will
eyes.
get up an extra hour so I can have towel time.
Mason is literally just a woman. Hot take. How's your week been?
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
You?
tired are you?
I'm
You know,
exhausted.
I actually slept for like the first time and I feel
For
great.
the very first time.
We're already starting with fucking music too.
Did you
Good
sleep like a
Lord.
virgin?
You know, some days I want to make a joke, but like,
Make the joke.
Ariel, you're
What's the
basically
worst?
like a virgin now.
Born again, right? How many years does it take to be born again?
I actually have no idea.
Isn't it like one or two? I'm good.
I feel like it's longer
But
than
does
one
it
or
count
two.
if you, never mind, I'm not going to say that on the
It
recording.
does not count if it's by yourself.
Oh, okay. So I'm
So,
good. Right? I just didn't know if
so
it was like any kind of penetration at all or something, you know?
no, no,
Okay.
no.
Solid.
Just
See?
so.
Who needs a man? What a man, what a man, what a man. No one needs a freaking man.
Yeah, not yeah. Some days I think I want a man, and then I remembered that I have to physically talk to them and like be around them, and then I decided that nah, I'm good. Sounds terrible for me. So this week we decided to take a little bit of a deep.
Crystal just took a detour with our entire recording.
I'm gonna move my keyboard away from me
I
because
can't
all
believe
I
you just shut us off.
what happened is I had hit the space bar and it pauses apparently. So, you know, the space bar pauses the zoom. So, anyways, this week we decided to take a little bit of a detour away from the unhinged stuff, which we have been doing. We've kind of done a lot more unhinged this past year than like any other fucking year we've ever done this. And this time we just decided to read a little small town romance and we read Grateful for You by Katana Collins. Now, there was not a trigger warning for this book, and I kind of felt like there maybe
There should
should
have
have
been.
been
There should have
because,
been.
and I'm just going to give you the warning for there's talk of domestic violence and also talk of emotional and physical abuse, and then there's like violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's your warning. And this is a small novella. It was only 90 pages. It's not even 90 pages. It was like 83 fucking pages. But it starts with Mason, who is currently working on the day before Thanksgiving, and he is a police officer. And it's not usually super busy because they live in a very small town of Maple Grove. I have comments about that later, and they're good comments, and it goes back to a previous book. But anyways, moving on. And he's just driving along, and he pulls up behind a brown Nissan, and he could see that the car is like rattling and kind of smoking, but like it's still driving. So like he can't really pull it over. I feel like
Well,
he should have
he
still
could,
pulled it
and he
over.
said he could, but he was like, it's the day before Thanksgiving. Do I really want to put somebody through that? Do I really want to put myself through that? That seems like a lot of paperwork and a lot of hassle. Do I really want to put someone through all that when they're probably on their way to a holiday or a family member's house?
Honestly,
As long
this
as nothing
man,
happens, he seemed very just like, I just want to help people,
honestly, this
which
man is like the biggest green flag that I have ever like
yeah,
the
they
way
picked the
that
wrong job for him
they
for this
really
book,
did.
honestly. Sorry, not sorry.
God damn it,
I
Ariel.
am
So
who I am.
yeah, but then he sees a squirrel running towards the center of the road and he watches
Squirrel?
squirrel and he
Squirrel?
watches squirrel and then he watches this is what happens when we go from recording 3 days a week to 1 day a week. And
We
so
have
we
to
have
put
an
it all in
entire
one
week.
day.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But he watches as the squirrel runs towards the center of the road and he watches the car in front of him start to swerve and miss it. And the car ends up landing in a ditch on the side of the road. The driver of this car is Piper. And she was just in there telling herself that she is thankful for her sister and that her piece of shit car has decent seatbelts. And she already knows that she's going to get a bruise from the seatbelt, but it's just going to add to the others because she currently has a giant purple bruise and open cut to her temple on her left eye. She is on her way to go see her sister in Vermont.
Mind you, none of that is from the car going into a ditch.
No, no, she lost touch with most of her friends and family over the years because of her ex. So she tells her dog Athena to stay in the car and she gets out to see if she can find the animal that she thought she may have hit. And as she's looking, she's interrupted by a deep voice, and it is Mason asking her if she is okay. And she is a little.
Hello.
He's asking her if she is okay. And she's a little skittish, and he lets her know that the squirrel she hit is fine.
It's
She
fine.
didn't she didn't
Everything's fine.
actually hit it. He's fine. But the car, definitely not great. He lets her know that they're gonna have to call roadside assistance, but it's gonna be really hard to get a tow truck out there on the eve of Thanksgiving. But he says, you know what? We can pack your stuff into my car and I'll drive you into town. We'll get coffee, dinner, make a few calls, and they'll go from there. She's very wary about this because of, men. And he asks her for her name, and she just says, call me Pumpkin. And he can tell that she is struggling to get into this car with a strange
Nobody better
man.
call me Pumpkin.
She offered it. She
I
offered the
know,
name.
but this, just
It's,
ew.
I'm aware. Well, the reasoning behind it, which I'll explain
I
afterwards,
know,
is
but
still annoying.
ew.
Yeah. But
Just
anyways, he offers to call in dispatch to bring out a female officer instead because again, he can sense her discomfort because he is a good man. Not like
mighty good man.
yes, but because the ride is only going to be 5 minutes, she agrees to go with him. When they get to the diner, Mason calls and there's a tow truck that could come in 3 hours. But no mechanic would be open again until Friday, and it's going to be a very expensive fix. He sits into the booth across from her and he can see the cut on her face, and he is angry at himself at first, but then at the man who did this to her. And he knows that he's just coming to conclusions that a man did this to her, but
Duh.
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 Collectively, duh.
Just can we just have a moment of just duh for it's always a man? It's just
Yeah.
I just it's always a man. Okay,
Statistically, it is
but that's what I
mostly
mean.
men.
If something were to happen, you didn't go, "Oh,
Oh, like
why
the
did she
TikTok
do it?
that
What
TikTok
were
video
her
I saw.
motives?" Yeah.
There was a TikTok video I saw that said, "Have you ever noticed that when there's shootings, we never think what made her mad enough to shoot? It's
Mhm.
always who is
Did
he?"
they find him? Yeah, because it's a duh given that it's a man because duh.
We're not political at all. Anyways, so he informs her that the
It's
tow
not.
truck is going to cost $300 and they won't be able to look at it till Friday. And she kind of winces at the cost because she might as well just fucking buy a new car at this point because between the tow and the fixes, it's probably going to be about like $2,300. And yeah, honestly, if you have a piece of shit car and it's going to be $2,300 for you to fix it, might as well just get a new car at that point. The waitress comes over and her name is Elsa and she's just pouring them coffee and Piper is talking about needing to get a room. That's all my brain thought too, by the way. To get a room at the inn and Elsa says that she's not going to be able to get a room because they don't take dogs. Elsa though is kind of doing this because she can kind of sense the stuff going between Mason and Piper and she's a shit disturber in a good
Mm,
way though, but like the good shit disturber, not the bad one.
we love a
Uh,
good one.
we love a good one. Yes. So Mason actually offers,
I'm reading a book right now, and I really hope I'm not wrong.
okay.
So okay. Oh, it's so hard. On one hand,
Hmm.
I'm not going to be mad if I'm wrong because that means I'll be surprised.
Okay.
Because sometimes I would love it when a book surprises me.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I really hope I'm not wrong because I really like this character right now. And I like her because I think that she just genuinely likes to just cause disturbances just to, and she just like sits there and like, huh? Well, you didn't technically say that she couldn't do that. So,
Yeah.
eh, because she's supposed to be like a bodyguard for somebody, and she's like, well, you said she had to go home. You didn't say she couldn't burn down the house type of deal. Like it was one of those kind of situations. And I'm sitting here like, I really love her and I hope she doesn't turn out to be like a bad guy because she kind of has that almost vibe that she could be.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like on one hand, like I love that shit. And I just am eating it right up. But on the other, like it would be nice to be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mason actually offers his place for her to stay in. He has a guest room and everything, and she admits that she's cautious. And I mean, he does apologize, like if she's
I'm not going
uncomfortable.
home with no stranger.
Well, yeah, but he
I'm
does
just saying.
apologize, right? And he even says, he goes, "Listen, if I had a sister, I would get her to offer you her guest room, but all he has
I
is
don't care. I would have
brothers."
slept in the car.
Yeah. But Piper ends up agreeing because there really is no other place to
Honestly, the
go.
second that like this all happened in this book, I was like, I don't buy any of this. Like she's on the run from an abusive relationship and whatnot, and she's
See, and
going
that's
to
why you
this
called
stranger
me
man's
because,
house, and I'm
like,
like, I don't. This all doesn't work for me.
yes, but it's a novella and you need to suspend your belief. It is a holiday novella, Ariel.
Sure, but make it somewhat believable.
There are people out there who would do this,
So what would have made this
just not you.
believable? Okay, but what would have made this believable is that if he lived at the inn or he ran the inn
As
and
a
she was
cop, too? That's more
no, no.
believable to you than a
Fuck
cop
him.
offering
Fuck
his
him being
house?
the cop. Fuck him being the cop. He ran the inn and was driving behind her. And when her vehicle went off the road, and he was just being a good Samaritan. And then, so now they have this budding thing that she has this room in the inn. That would have made way more sense than her being an abuse victim going home with a strange man. Because that, I don't buy any of that.
Okay, no, but you need to also
Even if they
understand.
wanted him to be a cop, he could have lived at the inn. He could have been just, he liked company.
Okay, but here also, the devil's advocate, as an abuse victim, maybe she doesn't want to upset the man, and so she's just going to go along with it. See, still believable.
And then,
Whatever, fuck you. I'm just kidding.
well, fuck me too.
But Piper ends up agreeing because there really is no other place to go. Mason even lets her know, like, you can even join for Thanksgiving. His brother and him have a small dinner and they invite a couple friends and they call it an orphan Thanksgiving, which is such an unhinged thing. And she even says, like, that sounds a
I want
little
to go to
morbid.
orphan Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that sounds fun. We can have an orphan Thanksgiving, I guess.
I want to go to orphan Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I think
God.
that sounds better than
But
the
she lets him
alternative.
know that instead of calling her Pumpkin, he can just call her Piper.
Oh,
She admits that
fabulous.
Pumpkin was not a friendly nickname that she had had. And he was like horrified. He goes, "Then why would you let me call you that?" Which fair fucking question. Why would you say that? And kids had called her that because of her size, because she's bigger. He flirts with her a little bit, but then they head back to his house. And Piper is trying to be optimistic while also being cautious because she is also going to text her sister his name, address, and like every single tiny piece of information that she knows about this man so that her sister knows where she is, which is smart because I know that if I had told Ariel I was going to a random man's house for Thanksgiving, Ariel would be like, first of all, no, you're not. And then second of all, please give me all the information.
I want to know. So, and okay, I get that she was like, I'm not going to have my sister come rescue me, or like, I'm not going to tell my sister come rescue me because she
With her
has like a new
family.
baby or something, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, or something. But if her sister had heard all of this and knew all this, like you just said, I would have just came to get you.
Yeah. Well, I think
I don't
it's
understand.
probably a pretty long drive. We'll get to it. But I'm just but I
I
know.
don't give a fuck.
I understand, but okay, so
No
hear me out.
fucks were given that day.
But maybe she is concerned because of this relationship she had with this dude. They are not as close as they used to be. So it would make I understand you and I are very different because you would have done it no matter what. But at the same time, you got to understand, I know, whatever. If you're trying to talk to me, you're muted. So you're welcome.
I was just singing.
Oh, okay. Well, then you can stay muted.
uh,
Fuck you.
That's what
Anyway,
I
yeah.
thought.
So they get to his house, and Piper's commenting on how pretty this house is. But she is also completely soaking wet because it's November in the north. And she is also cold. She notices that Mason
No.
locks the doorknob,
I
the
haven't heard a
deadbolt.
good Game of Thrones reference in a while.
I know, right? And puts like a security code on the door. And Piper asks if there's a lot of break-ins where they are. And this is where we learn that apparently this book is in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. And I have to give it to this book.
Honestly, the second they said Route 3, I was like, wait, my Route 3? Hold on. I live off Route 3. Don't wait, no, people should know that about me. But hold on. Route 3 goes all the way up New
Honestly,
Hampshire.
I think we have lore dropped basically where we live at all
Yeah.
points throughout this. But what I will say is this book compared to the pumpkin spice book that we read, because they vaguely describe the town. They don't try to make it seem like a real town in New Hampshire where we have to nitpick every tiny little fucking detail about this fucking town. Because we did that with that pumpkin spice book. And we were not really nice about it. Also, the pumpkin spice book wasn't that great, and neither was the movie, but that's besides the point. But, anyways, Mason says no. It is honestly just better safe than sorry. While Maple Grove is very safe, there is occasional bouts of crime. And Mason goes to pet Athena before Piper can stop him. He ends up petting Athena on the ribs, which also a trigger warning. I'm sorry. The ex had beat the dog, so now the dog
And
has.
he like pats her
And
like to
he was trying to be nice.
give her pats, not like just
Yeah,
to
yeah, he was trying to be a
yeah.
good man.
Yeah.
So yes, we learned that the ex had hurt the dog, which makes this man even more shitty. Mason says that there's a veterinarian in town and he wouldn't even mind a house call, but Piper says it's okay. So this man is literally doing every little tiny thing to make this woman feel more comfortable and trying to help her. But Piper says, the dog's just a little bit tender. No need to worry about it. Whatever's going on with that. And then also, don't even worry about her face because she'll just keep the scar. Mason insists that, like, you should probably document your injuries just in case you need proof for a restraining order. So, smart, again, smart man. He shows her to the guest room upstairs and lets her know that it has a private bathroom and she has literally all the privacy in the world. He is trying to make her feel so comfortable. Him, though, saying she has all the privacy in the world kind of makes her sad and disappointed. This is where Ariel was pissy. The because um her body starts reacting to Mason and she's a little bit disappointed because she hasn't had sex in months and she kind of forgot that she's like basically in her sexual prime. But now standing in front of Mason, she is aching for him. Before she goes into the bathroom, she does mention to him that, this house is like so big. And he admits that there was a time he wasn't there alone. He had a girlfriend, thought he would marry her, but they didn't, and it was for the best. And he leaves her to it. She decides that she is absolutely going to make herself at home, and she takes a hot bubble bath. And then she just starts thinking about what she's going to do because she needs to figure out how to pay for her tow truck and fix her car. And then also, like, where the hell is she going to go? Because she has $200 in her bank account and she's not going to use the credit card she has because that is the credit card she shares with her ex, John. And she does not want him to find her because if she uses that, like, how fast is he going to get to her? She realizes no reason to worry about any of this right this second. She gets out of the tub and instead of getting dressed, she just lays on the bed naked, which honestly is a vibe because I
Mm,
have done that so many fucking times.
mm-mm.
That there is
Every day.
nothing better than literally sitting there laying naked in a towel on a bed, and it's
Hmm.
glorious. So she closes her
I will get
eyes.
up an extra hour so I can have towel time.
Yes. Oh my God.
Hmm.
Yeah. So she closes her eyes and she starts to touch herself. And she thinks of Mason and then she fingers herself. And as she's fingering herself, the most embarrassing fucking thing happens where there's a knock on the door and it's Mason. So what had happened is when she was touching herself, she hit her luggage off the foot of her bed and it crashed to the floor. And he was so concerned that she fell that he
She
came
did it
running
on
up to ask if
purpose.
she's all right. I don't know if she did it on purpose because she was in the moment. So
I'm
she
sure she
gra
did.
so anyways, she starts to come and just says, "I'm fine." as she's coming. And so when she finishes, she grabs a towel, wraps it around her body, gets up and opens the door. He lets her
Yeah, she's
know.
fine.
Yeah, she is. Hell yeah. She hasn't had an orgasm in a really long time. So, like, I bet that that shit was great.
Bet she was real fine.
Yeah, she was probably real fucked out at that point. It was probably really nice. He lets her know that he heard a crash and he is clearly feeling some type of way. And she just thinks that she wants Mason inside of her, not just her fingers. But Mason is going to give her space, as he should. And he goes to
Mm.
back away. And as he goes to back away, Athena comes running out of the fucking bedroom and yanks the towel along with her. And Mason is just standing there blinking at her because Piper is just completely fucking naked in front of him. He's also trying to be super respectful at the same time, so he bends down to try to pick up her towel, but then like his face is literally directly in front of her. And he's trying to get himself together, and all he can think is he wants to bury his face between her thighs. And whatever, but he stands up. She tries to cover herself with a towel, and then out of nowhere, because he's trying to put himself together, he goes, I'm I'm headed to the bar for a couple of beers, just to give her privacy. And like he's like, I have to meet a friend at the bar. All of this is a lie, by the way. She notices that this is a lie and she gets dressed and he apologizes and she says, listen, it was an accident. It was actually kind of sweet. You were rushing, knocking on my door, thinking I was hurt. And nobody has looked after her like that in a really long time. And she starts getting a little closer to him and she feels his erection, but he just can't do this because he wants to make sure that she is consenting. She went there for a safe space. And he doesn't want to take advantage of her. Again, a green fucking flag of a man. We haven't had like a green flag man in a really long time. So like this was kind of nice. And honestly, this is probably why Ariel wanted to stop halfway through the book because she texted me and was like, "Can you just like see if this is actually like making sense? Because like I don't think so." And she's gonna come back and I'm gonna be shit talking her and it's gonna be really funny because Ariel can't deal with a green flag of a man. I thought that was funny. But she stops him before he runs out and calls him out for not wearing a shirt. Because this whole time, this man is like, I gotta go to the bar. He is not wearing a shirt because he was not planning to go to a bar. Piper's entire plan of going to bed early was all for nothing. She tried to close her eyes, but every time she tried, she got more and more restless. And finally, she just kicks off her covers and heads downstairs. And this is when she sees that this
She
man,
went to the kitchen planning to make herself some hot chocolate because, like,
she can't
who
sleep. I
goes
understand.
to, but who goes to someone's kitchen just assuming that they have all the ingredients to make homemade hot chocolate? I don't have any of that shit.
No, I have
I have a
instant.
lot of shit. I don't even have instant.
Oh, I do because sometimes I want hot chocolate and I want to drown it in canned whipped cream and then I eat the whipped cream. And then
And that's
also I
fabulous.
bought
But it was,
container of freeze-dried marshmallows.
I know, and you love
Marshmallows.
that shit.
Marshmallows,
I
I
would know
know.
that you had that shit, but I wouldn't just assume someone had it in their kitchen and
Okay,
be like, I'm
fair.
gonna go make myself some hot chocolate.
I don't know. Maybe she thinks like around holidays, maybe you have this. I don't fucking know. I'm not in this woman's brain, okay? But then
Oh,
because of this hot chocolate
wild.
thing, she sees that this man was planning to use instant food for Thanksgiving, and that just cannot happen. So she's
Triggers
going
her
through
more than,
the hot chocolate.
actual triggering things.
Yeah. So she starts going through all of his stuff and sees he actually does have stuff to make Thanksgiving dinner. So she's preparing it the night before, preparing everything ahead of time. Is that a thing that people do?
Hmm.
Oh, I
I
don't make
prepare a lot of
Thanksgiving
things,
dinner.
but oh, okay.
I made Thanksgiving dinner twice in my entire life. And that was enough for me.
Because
I've made
if you
one
don't
turkey.
prepare some of the stuff, then it's like really, 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 really hard to do everything in like
Mm,
5 hours.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Mm. You do what you can ahead of time.
Gotcha. I
Like the
just
things that you can just throw in the oven to.
got it. Okay. So she starts preparing for Thanksgiving and Mason comes back. She asks how the bar was and he says, it was actually really good. It was actually open. Turns out it's a busy night for them. And he confesses there was no friend. And she goes, no, you weren't
Duh.
lying. Just so you could simply run away from seeing my naked body. She was being so sarcastic, which was actually really funny. And he says that he wasn't running from her. Only a mad man would run away from a woman as beautiful as her. But then he asks her what she's doing, and she explains everything. He is like, okay, let me help. And she feeds him the apple pie filling that she made, and it was a little sensual as she's trying to feed it to him. And all she could think of is what that mouth could do to her nipples and her mouth and her clit. But then he interrupts her thought process because he wants to be put to work. And she just keeps thinking, like, listen, it's been like 6 months since John and I had sex, but like, even that wasn't indulgent. And she was just going through the motions. She wants Mason. She wants all of this. But she tells him that he can help. He says under one condition that they have to make pumpkin pie because it's his absolute favorite. So they start preparing everything. And when they're finally done, they're going to clean up. And she looks at him and says, "Oh my God, you have some syrup on your face." And instead of taking her hand like I just did and, trying to wipe it off,
Of course not.
she goes up to his face, kisses his jaw, and like licks it off and then like bites his jaw a little bit. He says they shouldn't be doing this because she's had a really long day. And she interrupts him and says, I haven't been allowed to make my own choices for years. So why don't you let me decide what I'm too exhausted for? And then she peels off her t-shirt and he is weak for this. So he also takes off his own shirt and then they start fucking going at it. And he grabs her breasts and starts like, boop it.
Honks her a little.
Honks her a little bit.
I'm just
Honk,
kidding. No,
honk. Just
he
kidding.
caresses her.
Yes, he does. And then he starts rolling her nipples between his fingers, and then she grabs his zipper and she says she wants to taste him. So she gets on her knees and sucks his cock. He stands her up, has her wiggle out of her shorts. He clears the kitchen counter, like, oops, I just hit my wall. He clears his kitchen counter and lifts her up onto it, and then he fucks her on the counter. And when they're done, he says, "Ha ha ha, we're not even done yet." He doesn't say it like that. That's just how I'm saying it. And then he eats her out and fingers her, and then they kiss afterwards. And at some point, they do make it upstairs to Mason's bedroom, and they're just going to talk about things because that is the time to talk, is after the sex. So he asks her just to tell him about herself. And it doesn't matter, like whatever she's comfortable with saying. So she decides apparently she is comfortable to talk about her ex. And she talks about how they met. They used to work at this really big real estate agency together, and the relationship started out really great, but that's how they all start, isn't it? And then he was taking her sales, and he even like changed his agent tagline to her tagline, which was the market speaks to every seller. You just have to be listening. Remember that because that's important for like in 10 minutes. Not even.
Not even.
But then it started getting really physical and he was isolating her and all this other stuff. And Mason asks if she thinks that he's coming for her, and she says, I know he is. He is not the kind of man who watches something that is his slip through his fingers. She didn't call the police because his best friend is chief of police. So Mason gives her pepper spray to protect herself, just in case. And then he talks about his ex and buying the house, and it's not nearly as sad of a story. They just weren't happy and they go to bed. Piper wakes up the next morning, texts her sister Happy Thanksgiving, and she just feels loved.
Well, there's more to
And
the story. He just doesn't tell her.
yeah, we just don't care.
It matters to the, what comes in a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah, well, we don't
not
care.
in Crystal's world.
Not in my world, and this is my
Okay.
story.
Sounds
These
good.
these are my stories.
These
Dun dun.
are the
These are the days of my lives.
these are her stories.
Two separate shows?
Come
Completely.
together as one.
Honestly, yeah, come
Two
together right
become
now.
one. Yeah.
Anyways, she like, just she feels so loved, and she even calls her out for saying it like you can't fall in love after one night. It's giving you can't marry a man you just met. But she feels like there's something real there, but also the more she convinces herself that this is something real, the harder that this is going to be when she has to leave. And like she has to leave because John would be searching for her. She gets up, she starts the turkey because this man is still sleeping, and she starts heating up all the food and she looks into Mason's driveway and her car is there. And she's thinking, shit. And sure enough, On the front seat of the car is a note saying, I hope you enjoyed your hall pass for the night. Next time, you two might want to close the kitchen curtains. P.S. I fixed your car and brought it here so you can drive home safely. So, shit. Now this man has found her, and she runs in and tells Mason, and he offers to protect her and keep her safe, but she doesn't want that. She doesn't want to lean on him. But he says, look, there's a difference between a couple who loves and looks out for each other's safety and codependency. And he just begs her to stay for at least another night. So she agrees. And then everyone starts arriving for Thanksgiving dinner, and his brother Jackson is the first one to arrive, and he is an EMT. He's a little rude, but at the same time, I understand. Like, if your brother is just randomly bringing in women, and also Mason has a tendency to pick up women who need fixing. So it's kind of like the women who try to fix men, but like in the reverse. So really and truly, Mason is just like a woman. The green flags, the trying to help out, the being respect. Mason is literally just a woman. Hot take. Anyways, I would also be asking questions. So more people start to show up with food, and everyone else,
Much more cinnamon
it's
rolly,
nice.
yes.
Yeah. There is his friend Ren who shows up and kind of hits on Piper. But she calls him out and says, listen, I'm not on the menu, at least not for you. And all Mason could think is that he loves this girl. And that thought struck him so fast, like, holy shit, that's crazy. But he doesn't want her to leave. Their
But
relationship
this
was
is
already
crazy.
different. Yeah. Their
So
relationship
call
was,
me maybe.
good Lord. Their relationship was already different, and he wants her, even though this was such a small Thanksgiving, there was so much laughter and joy. And Jackson starts asking questions to Piper, like where she's from. She says she's just from outside of DC. She was driving to her sister's house in Vermont. She almost hit a squirrel. And like, she was like a real estate agent, like all this other stuff. And Jackson's like, well, no, how did you end up at my brother's house? And she explains that she tried to get a room, but they don't allow dogs. And then their friend Carrie is arriving. But oh, Carrie has a guest. And guess what? It's fucking John.
Shock.
Shock ah. And John
So
is pretending,
the moral
yes,
of this story, if I didn't know better, would be
don't pick up strays.
also that. But people who live in DC are bad, and people who live in New Hampshire are not. But that's not true.
That's not true at all.
Not true. Right. That's why I said if I didn't know better.
Ah, that's not what I got from this story.
No,
Um,
not what I got either, but
okay.
carry on.
So John is pretending he doesn't know who Piper is, and he goes to pet Athena, and Athena growls at him, and Mason says, like, it's weird because he's never heard her growl at anybody, in the
Which
2 days
men
that
suck.
he's known her. Yeah. Two things, two things, people, things, stuff that you should always listen to. Kids and dogs.
Absolutely.
Kids and dogs.
Kids and dogs.
Yeah. So Mason's brother says, yeah, how
It's
did
like
you
our
know?
theme of the year.
Yeah. But like, because then dipshit John asks, oh, what's her name? And Jackson's like, how did you know it was a her? And he's like, well, her name is Athena. Well, yeah, but you asked what's her name before you learned her
Well, it's a
name.
50-50 chance. Yeah. How are you
50-50
right,
chance of being an
motherfucker?
idiot.
Yeah.
He tries to get
Motherfucker.
himself out of it, but then John asks how long Mason and Piper were together. They don't really answer, and she just smiles at him, and this does not sit well with John. The rest of the meal, though, was painless, and Piper felt weirdly at peace and safe in this house, pretty much just like staring at John. But having Mason beside her really made her less scared. So Mason just starts asking John questions. And now it's getting to the point that every question Mason is asking is really showing who this man is. John is also very like open with this information, like he doesn't hide anything. And I think he has to be stupid because,
Yeah.
like, yeah, John says he's from DC. He's actually a top selling real estate agent. You know what? No, it's not that he's stupid. It's he's
He's
so narcissistic that he needs everybody to know exactly who he is. I know these men.
Yep.
I have dated these men. he's a top-selling real estate agent in Arlington, and Mason says, "Oh, I heard it's currently actually like a seller's market." And John says, "Oh, no, 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 no. You know, the market speaks to every seller. You just have to be listening." And beneath the table, Mason's hand gives Piper's a little squeeze. And Mason's brother breaks the silence and says, "Isn't that what you used to do, Piper?" And Piper says, "Yeah, I did until my partner cheated me out of my promotion." And the tension just keeps building, but Piper is like, "All right, I'm gonna go get some pie. So, like, chill out, guys." And John follows her. She asks him how he found her, and he admits that their phone accounts are linked. So it was like really easy to check
She
her
didn't turn off the
location.
Find My, fucking idiot. Seriously, why is she a dumbass?
I don't know. I don't know. But he tells her, now that she's had time to cool off, she's had her little romp, not ramp. She's had her
Maybe
little
she's had a
romp.
ramp too.
I mean, she's had her little romp. It's time to go home. But she stands up to him, and I was very proud of her in this moment. And she says, "Listen, you are not my fiance anymore. I don't want your ring. I don't want your money. I don't want you." And even confronts him about hitting her. And he's like trying to cry and like get sympathy. And she goes, "Fucking no." And like,
Bye, bitch.
she tells him to get out and that he is not welcome to stay for dinner and he is not welcome in her life ever.
Leave. Get out right now.
He storms through and says, "Listen, fine, no problem. You were just a charity case, anyways. You were that for me, and I bet you are that for him. And you'll never hear from me again." And he leaves. And honestly, I thought that this was just going to be like a just kidding and it was going to come back. No, he really does leave and leaves her alone. Mason comes in and he admits that he was listening close by and asks if she is okay. And she says that she's great. You know, I'm fine. Once everybody figures out what happened, Carrie fucking apologetic, but Piper says it's fine, don't blame yourself. You would not have known. And then everyone's getting ready to leave, and Piper sees Jackson and Mason standing outside, and she goes to say goodbye to Jackson because like duh. And she overhears them talking, and she hears Mason say that he thinks that he loves her because he's defending like the stuff to Jackson with their whole situation. And and that he loves Piper because of her strength and everything, and he's not trying to fix her or save her or anything. Then Piper ends up stepping in and says, "Listen, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that not speaking up for myself is a slippery slope. I am stronger. I don't need to be rescued, and I love you. And that is why I have to leave." She wants to prove that she can be on her own and not be reliant on somebody. And as soon as she can figure all of that out and learn how to love herself, he will be the first person she finds. And so that's what happens. So a month goes by and it is Christmas morning, and Mason has not seen her since Thanksgiving. She did text him like a couple weeks beforehand, wanting to keep in touch while she found herself, and she's at her sister's house in Vermont for Christmas. She's texting him saying that she sent him a little gift, and he goes outside and there's a pumpkin pie. And when he turns to the side, Athena is sitting there with a gift bag in her mouth. In the gift bag is Santa lingerie. And then also, surprise, surprise, Piper is there. And that's the end of the book.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And that's the book. So that happened.
What happened?
That happened. Who was your favorite character?
Probably the brother Jackson.
Yeah. I liked him too because he was trying to be protective of her and
Hmm.
also Athena, yes, the dog. Because we honestly have to make the dog like the good character for every fucking book that we read.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true. True facts.
Who was your least favorite?
Mm. You know, I obviously didn't like the douche canoe, but I honestly didn't really like Piper that much either.
No, I wanted to like sympathize with
Who
her
the
a
fuck
little.
doesn't turn your Find My off?
Okay, fair, fair,
Why should be a dumb bitch?
because she
You're
is
going
a
on the
bitch.
run. You're going on the run.
Honestly, at that point, if I was on the run, I would just ditch the phone in general and get a whole
That's
brand
what
new one.
I mean. Come
Yeah, fair.
the fuck on.
My God. Okay. Alrighty. So Amazon gives us a 4.0, Goodreads a 3.8, and Storygraph gives us a 3.35.
I rated it 3 stars. It was what it was.
Same, same. It was what it was. It definitely was, like I said, it's different than what we have planned and what like we've been doing. Like it is definitely less unhinged than most of our other stuff that we have been.
It's good to have some different things going on
Hmm.
for um
In general.
our weekly reads,
Yeah.
especially for our holiday stuff. That being said, we're going different again next week.
That being said, she's skipping over the rest of the
Oh, just kidding.
discussion.
It just had, yeah. Never mind. Ignore me.
I was just describing why I gave it a three, but all
Yep,
right.
yep, nope, you were right. I forgot about
Uh,
the rest of it.
I think that's like the second time you've done that in like the last month, which
Yeah.
honestly, good for you because we have recorded like 60,000 of them in the last month. So,
Yeah.
but anyways, yeah, no, so like it was different, so it was kind of nice, but yeah, there could have been more. She could have been less of a dumbass. He was like the greenest of fucking green flags of a man. Again, like great for us. Still didn't. Yeah. Anyways, so Peppers, Ariel.
Maybe a poblano. Nothing
Poblano, because there
crazy.
wasn't really, yeah, it wasn't really like a lot or descriptive. It was more than like some other like cozier romance would be, but it wasn't like enough to spice it up a little bit. Survivability, I would have been fine, but I would have gotten the burner phone. I would have made sure that man never found me. I would have, I don't know.
I also wouldn't have gone home with the cop. I would have been survived. She's just fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. If he was hot enough, I might have done it.
You would have. I just wouldn't have. I
And that
have
is
no
and
doubt
that
that
is
you would
probably
have.
and honestly, that's probably why I don't think that this is as unrealistic as you think it is, because I probably would have done it.
But we are two different people, and that is okay.
Yes, that is okay. You know what else is okay? The rest of this month.
We might be a little more unhinged next week because next week we are reading A Dragon for Thanksgiving by Lisa Daniels. So we're going to be doing a little dragon Thanksgiving. My fortune's been down lately, right until I met the dragon shifter. My family's not well off. They're the nicest people you'll ever meet, but a lot of bad luck fell on them. They try their best, though, and I want to help them. For me, that means risking it all. Going into the fight pits, a forbidden place of supernaturals, feral fighters, and people like me betting on the outcomes. A place normally off limits to humans. One person catches my eye. One name among the others. An alpha fighter with a cursed form, with a craving to win fights. A man with a heart of gold lurking under that toughness. A man who, of course, my parents would love to have over for Thanksgiving. So,
So
yeah, we
yeah,
went from this, whatever this was, to going to dragons next week.
we went from small town to dragons.
There we go. That
Here we go.
works.
So join us next week
And make sure to keep reading.
and keep it smutty. Just know my notes say sexual crime.
I probably would have laughed harder if they said Optimus Prime, though. If they were in her Optimus Prime, her sexual Optimus Prime. No.
Anyways, she decides that she is absolutely what? Absolutely. You could be surprised. You're not speaking.
Thank fuck, because I was spoiling shit.
Oh, okay. But go back to being silent.
Yep. I was just Commenting upon how much of a stupid bitch she is.
Mason enters her mind, and then she enters herself. Sorry. I'm gonna repeat that sentence differently because that's not what I actually wrote. I just said it in the moment because I thought it was funny.
I can't with you today.
I can't with you today.
We can't with we today.
We can't with we. And this is why it took us like 2 hours. But he says under one condition, under one condition, they have to stop laughing.
I was also thinking it sounded like confliction, so it's like a conviction is like a confliction that you yeah
For dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. You know, kind of like dickmatized, but
Exactly.
this is a conviction. Got it.
Yeah.
That's a new word now. You're welcome. Because it is.
What a hot mess.
What is wrong with me today?
This isn't even a special.
No, it's not. I didn't even have to do any hard work this has been the easiest week of my life, and I am struggling to speak English, basic English, guys. Basic fucking English.
Oh fuck.
Oh, fuck.